And so now what I want to do is focus on animation layers. So again, if I go to the hips, like I might want to just maybe make him bob up and down a little bit more. Like maybe take this and cycle it. Now this is actually, you know, the only variance I'm getting here is just, you know, 3.5 degrees. 4 maybe. Not an awful lot. So I might want to have maybe a little bit more bobbing up and down. It might look like he's, you know, maybe breathing. So I could come in and just rebuild this curve. I could come in and maybe take this, move it up. But then I'd have to come in and, you know, kind of delete here and there. Whoops, delete the whole thing. There we go. Or I could just add animation into a layer. Now, animation layers are a little tricky, but I think it's you should know how to use them, especially for stuff like this, where you kind of get a base motion down, you like it, and you want to embellish it a little bit. That's part of the assignment. So animation layers might be a handy way to do it. So animation layers are over here on Anim. And so what I'm going to do is let's grab everything and let's go to Anim, and this is create layer from selected, so click on that. So it makes a base animation layer. I just wanted to make sure everything was in the base. I think it automatically does that. So then this layer here, so then anything that I do here is just like a layer in Photoshop. I've got the base, this is going to remain, and then with this animation layer here, I could add any edits that I want to sort of over the top. So let's just call this layer 1. Or how about full body? So I could make sort of tweaks on anything on this full body layer. And then let's maybe take this one just with the hips. Let's add another one. Okay, so only the hips was selected, so I've got a layer just for the hips, so I'm going to rename that. And let's just play with the hips one first. Okay, so really it's just like Photoshop. You're adding other layers over the top and it's non-destructive. So for instance, and then one thing you have to know is that the weight has to be either 0 or 1. The weight meaning is the layer activator. So here it is. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do, let's just go to frame 1. And we want to click here to make sure we're in that layer. You can also click on here, and if you right click you can change the color, and so this will change the color of the keys on that layer. So for example, let's just so again, you have to be careful. So this is everything. I'm going to select here, so I'm in the hips layer, and then you can see that hips 1. So let's just be at frame 1, just set a key. Then I'm going to have him just bob up and down twice. Here. So bob up here, maybe down here, up, down, and back to normal. Okay, so up. And it kind of shows ghosting too. That's kind of cool. And then over here, maybe having Bob back down. Over here, Bob back up. And over here, back down. And then over here, let's just take this one, middle mouse drag, key, okay, I'm going to do that last key, so I just wanted to, okay, so again I got to click there in that layer, so this is where it gets confusing. You got to make sure that you're in the right layer when you're doing the keys. And here's the cool thing about it. I made it purple, and the keys are purple here. So I think what I'll do is just right click, copy that key, and then come over here and paste. Okay, so now if I play this, so that might be a bit much, but I do think it adds a little more character and sort of charm to the overall animation. You know, you can also dial down the percentage of this. So right now I'm at weight 1, so let's just play this. Let's see if this is interactive. So now I can take the weight all the way down to 0. So it's not bobbing up and down. Let's set the weight up a little bit. Okay, so I'll put it maybe about 0.7. I like that. Okay, so let's stop the play. Let's come back here and let's key this 0.73. And again, I started at 0 so that it's not going to change the 0 frame. So let's take the weight and let's just key that. I'm at frame 1. Okay, and so now, well, what happened? My keys are gone. Well, if you notice over here, now I've got a key on the weight. Okay, so we could maybe come in here and adjust the weight as we go. So maybe not so much there. And then maybe a little more here. And then maybe back to 1 there. So let's play that. Okay, and so maybe this one we could get a little more dramatic. So maybe overshoot it, like take it over 1. Okay, so it doesn't like that overshot. So let's just go to for this key here, let's just set that at 1. Okay. I'm going to undo that. So hopefully you get the idea. So this is what kind of what I got hung up on with layers when I first started using them. And I don't use them an awful lot, to be honest with you. But when I first started using them, what I would get messed up on is, well, where do you see this key? But it's just right here. Once you key it, then it appears over here. And so you can key the value of this layer. And so I've got them both selected. So there's the up and down, here's the rest of the keys. And so this one's controlling, you know, how much of this. So layers are really handy. Let's see if there's something else. So like maybe the head. Let's make another layer here. And now's a good time to save. Save scene as. Let's call this 3. Layers. Okay. So, you know, I just added a little more info there. I also made this node here. Might not be very clear, but I wanted to be able to have some overlap and follow through with the arms. This node right here, it's a parent of the clavicle. So if I come out maybe here to frame 16, I can take this node. So that'll kind of make this swing side to side. So I'm going to add not only the head, but I'm also going to add this like the shoulder control. So I can right click here and add selected objects. Okay, so this is now head and shoulders. Okay, so let's maybe recolor that. Orange keys. And then you can click on it and then it'll show the ghosting when you change it, which is really cool. And I'm at weight 1. So on this layer here, so first of all, let's look at what's going on with the head. Yeah, so I don't like how when his head comes back, it just sort of, it's very boring when it comes back. I could maybe use a little bit of overlap and follow through, or like in this one, he turns his head and then he kind of moves the way he's going. But he doesn't really do that here. The head just kind of lazily comes back with everything else. So maybe I could come here. So let's just set a 0 key right here for the head.
Well, the very big question
Again, make sure that I'm in the right layer. So
always are where we come from, what are we made of, what is the future of the universe.
So I'm going to set a key there.
Universe, like everybody else,
Know where I started from. I'll set a key here, and that's just keeping it how it was. And then maybe right here, I'll start that rotation back just a little sooner. And make sure I'm in the right layer. And then here I'll just copy this frame, copy, and then go back here to paste. Okay, so let's play this. Yeah, way better. So I kind of started his head going back, like a little more follow through. That's so much better. And so I'm keeping, you know, all the noise, all the texture in the animation, and I'm just changing just little spots of it, and I don't have to rebuild the entire curve. Okay, so I've enhanced my animation with layers. So I can also mute them. So this just turns them off, makes them so they're not visible. So that's what I got after the smoothing. And then let's see what happens when I put this full body one on. Now I've got the tail moving. I've got the hips coming up and down a little bit. The head and shoulders. And I've got some overlap and follow through. You know, things are still a little jerky, but you know, I would probably spend a little bit more time here than what I've done, especially on idle, because again, the idle is going to be your main animation you would see in a game. But I'm going to call this good because I think I've showed you the techniques. So now we've got the baking part. So in order to bake the layers, what I'm going to do is, so these are all visible, I'm going to select everything, and this is a good time to save. Save scene as. Four layers. Definitely save before doing this. Then I can right click and merge layers. And I'm going to go to the option box. And I'm going to merge the selected. And delete the baked layers. Now, this is like Bake Simulation, where it's going to bake every key, but there's also this Smart Bake, where it's only going to bake the necessary keys. Okay, so let's click Apply. Now everything's baked back to a single layer. Got all my changes are added in. You know, there's only one thing I don't like about this animation. think right here he turns his head maybe too much. Let's just maybe slow that down. That's going to be in the rotate Y or rotate X. So again, this, I could do this in a layer, but I can also, since I've already baked it down, let's just see what happens if I move these keys up a little. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. Not quite so abrupt. Okay, very good. Happy with that. I'm going to ship it. So again, just to make sure, post to shelf. I'm just going to just test to make sure these are the same. So FA idle 2 post to shelf. Okay, so on frame 1. See if this changes from that. Nope, both the same, so that's good. And if we go here to frame 50, same thing. Let's just make sure we've got the same frame. So when I bake it out, I'm gonna bake from 1 to 49. So when you bake out animations, let's also go with this bake simulation option box, edit keys, bake simulation. I'm going to use the smart bake here too. So I haven't been using that thus far in class. I've just been using the every frame, but I'm going to keep the smart bake just to keep my number of my keyframes down. Okay, so let's bake. You can also see that I've baked out all this crap. I don't want any of that, so I'll just right click and break connections on those.